Good. I've got my good shirt on today.
Nice. Yeah, full metal.
Yep.
Excellent.
Your lucky shirt.
It's just a good
What's
shirt.
up, dude?
I love it.
Is tomorrow at North Collier tomorrow?
What are we taking a phone? Okay.
I believe it's on the text message. I think it's the same field number.
So, all right, Kyle. So, hi.
Oh,
Nice to meet you.
it's been a pleasure so far, sir.
So far, I know.
So far.
Don't save your judgments till the end of the show.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. All right, are you busy full up with your firm duties of the firm? Which sounded sort of,
Yeah, this Saturday I'm going in for.
it's tax season, right, or something like that?
Yeah.
We can push the
Probably I'm working on more just our monthly clients, so we do bookkeeping for people.
Okay.
So trying to get all of that because we've had them the entire year. They're going to be the easiest to turn around.
Yeah.
But people are flooding in
Of
and they're
course.
just dropping stuff off. So I'm trying to just turn them and burn them.
That's great. Is it a big organization? Are you one of many drones?
No, not really. I actually am buying it off of somebody that's trying to retire.
Ah, fascinating.
yeah,
a big
she-
book? Yeah. A substantial book of business?
Pretty good. It's up in a small town, LaBelle.
Yeah.
She had originally like 500 when we first started talking, but this last year or so, it's ballooned up to like 800.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So it's keeping us busy, and there's the two of us, so we're
We
able to
need
go.
a bigger boat.
So this is actually live right now.
Waiting room. Look at that. I saw Mark. Wow. All right.
But can't we have we can be live, but don't you have to press a button to make it all go live at the same time or no?
You already hit the button.
He hit that button, buddy.
See where it says schedule start immediately? Can you schedule it to start at 5 o'clock? That's 12 minutes from now. That will should give us time to get everything ready, and then we know, okay,
And we've
we're gonna
got
start
our
at 5.
we've got our obscenity window of.
It says it
deletion.
ends, but can't.
we're gonna-
Is there a way to make it so it doesn't have to end, so we can just keep going, or will it
Never.
cut us
Never
off at that
ending.
time?
Make it never end.
Never going home.
You don't know if it'll.
Kyle, what's going on in
What
that
it'll
shirt
do.
right there? I don't recognize.
Maybe
it. I'm
ask
sorry.
It's it's a TV show, Full Metal Alchemist. It's an anime.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's a really good one.
It actually is a really good anime.
it is.
Thank you.
It's one of the best.
Wow.
Brotherhood's on Crunchyroll, by the way.
Full Brother.
Full Metal Alchemist. Yeah, I told you to make your profile.
Oh, wow.
I made Ronan a profile.
Yeah, Ronan's got a profile.
Ronan's got a profile.
Yeah.
He's quite the avid watcher.
Yeah.
Actually, I think if Full Metal Brotherhood was on Netflix for a while. I don't know if
Was
it
it?
still is.
Yeah, I don't know.
Was it Brotherhood or the just regular?
It was Brotherhood. I know the difference.
A lot more gore.
So we hear ourselves right now, but it's like lagging behind.
All right.
You can just hear it because there's a slight delay.
Yeah.
Right.
Why is there a delay?
It's sending from here to X and X output. There's a few second lag.
It's the VPN.
Here it says stop streaming. So is it live right now? Or is it
Right now we're live on Rumble
We are okay.
and we're live. I think we're live on Odyssey. We should be.
Oh.
So why don't we kick it off on X and get this party started?
Let's do it. Maddie, take us in.
I keep hearing. I'm hearing the past in my ear.
The past, it haunts me forever.
I'm hearing I'm hearing like 20
Very
seconds.
last
in the
day of
past.
January.
So you're
my
gonna turn
friends.
that off, right?
What are we doing?
All right. don't know
I
what's
love
going
that.
on, but-
I love that Aaron Bond. I love how he's the face of the perpetual live.
Nice.
I will
not
say
getting
this about
royalties
Aaron.
up.
He's one hell of a soccer player.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, we went and played soccer at the park.
Is that when he tore your Achilles?
No.
I thought
This was like-
it was ACL, and that was like a year ago at this point or
He
so,
did?
right?
Damn, bro.
Really? Wow.
Wasn't it?
No, it wasn't my ACL. It was my Achilles.
It was
Gotta-
Achilles. Okay.
I
Yeah.
tore it.
You got to
Yeah.
red card that kid, man.
That was your sphincter we tore.
Oh, no. The last day of January. Apparently, that's all bets are off. Kyle, you realize? So,
Oh, I'm
has
hearing
Oh,
Ron
Rome,
now.
there's that
You
lag.
hear that? You hear
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah.
I didn't hear
He's
it
gonna have to
now.
turn that off somehow. I don't know how, but I can't hear that. It's gonna drive me nuts.
Probably just mute that
Look at
tab.
Scotty Danny.
Does he know?
There it
This
is.
is gonna have to be the
Oh, that's
I
nice.
this is
think
gonna
we
have to be the
fixed it.
bloopers, Paul. You're gonna have to like edit these bloopers into that.
We can't. We're already live.
Here we
This is
go.
good content.
All right, whatever.
Let me just get that camera. Okay, we're on you. Good. Creating broadcast live.
There's gotta be an app that like manages all these live streams
All
at the
right,
same
Natty
time.
Ice, do what you do.
Pretty awesome.
All right. So you've got all of my X takes queued up here. It only looks like about like 12. I don't know if that's gonna be enough.
12. There's way more than 12. up there.
Okay, there might be about 25.
We need the extra redundancy to cover.
All right.
Oh, look at us. Who's that over there?
For next week, Paul, see if you can get it. I can still hear myself in the background.
There's still playing somewhere.
Yeah, just mute the
Oh,
tab.
yeah, mute that
just
one.
mute
There
the
we go.
tab. Right click on the tab.
Oh,
Got it.
All right. We'll start off with that one, but
that's the new sector, right?
Yeah, I think so.
so Paul, for future episodes, we can have like a screen that just says like a countdown, and then when the countdown's up, okay.
Once
I realize
we
we're
get,
just the first time doing this, so we're just playing around
yeah,
with
I'm
this.
gonna
We're
get
learning.
the stream deck
we're
set up.
learning
We're
the-
just kind of
learning the
testing the
ropes here.
waters here,
Okay.
dipping our
All right.
toes.
Okay.
We'll
But
be
for the-
professional one day.
But for when you clip the pod to put it on all the other platforms, you can start it now, right? You can clip
Correct.
it. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna lead in now. Y'all ready? All right.
Never ready with you.
Bring it in.
Go.
Welcome to the Runway, where we talk about current events, politics, Web3, technology, and more. Apparently. So with that being said, there's a lot of spicy takes this week, and let's take a look at a lot of them. I got my boy Phil here, I've got Kyle here, and I've got Jack Attack here. So welcome to the pod, boys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's a lovely.
Wonderful. Let's kick it off.
All right, Paul, cue us up. What do we got first? What's up on the docket here? Still can't get over the fact that Democrats had earmarked $50 million to buy condoms for Gaza. There's only like 2 million people there. The math is not mathing. Money laundering? Question mark. Think about how much they have to hate us to spend our money on this crap. So I saw some stuff later on that this was actually, I think it was some community notes or something happened later that this wasn't quite true, that there wasn't 50 million spent on condoms for Gaza, but I wouldn't be surprised nonetheless.
I think I saw that it was talking about like, oh, it's 50 million for sexual health or something like
Yeah.
that. But still, it's 50 million for Gaza rather than all the people here in the U.S. where we
Yeah.
live and it was actually taxed from.
I read there was like they were tying bombs and explosives to condoms and they were floating them up in the air. And it was like a
Oh yeah, I thought that was a joke.
you'd see something like that on Pornhub. It was like, so I don't know. it was a little sus.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a good campaign, though. I mean, it landed well.
What else you got for us, Paul?
Oh,
Let's move along here. All right, Balaji. He's always got some great takes. The state subsidized legacy media by giving them preferential access to information, both through informal channels like leaks and formal channels like briefings. Now that's over. This is the flippening. It's all citizen journalism now. So this is the because there's a post here about the new press secretary Caroline Levitt. I guess they're going to be giving independent media personnel access to the White House and to these briefings, which I think is an amazing deal. And I think it's a big deal, right? It kind of signals the changing of the guard, where traditional media has had this esteemed prestige role, and now we're seeing that it's going to be based on actual watch viewership and quality. So I think this is important. What do you guys think?
I know Tim Pool, I believe, has already applied for it for him and his network.
Mhm.
And I mean, traditional media is dead pretty much. It's all of citizen journalism now.
Think-
So
Didn't we were talking about this at Bitcoin Day with Jackie Price, and she was coming in saying that
Mhm.
YouTubers aren't real journalism because you don't
Yeah.
have credentials, and she literally says in there that we're gonna give you credentials if you're a YouTuber, so you can come in and do what you do.
Yeah. Let me try to play a little devil's advocate here to take Jackie's side of what she was saying. I think we still do need to fix traditional media. I mean, there's a large portion of the population who only watch what they've watched for the past 20 years, 30 years, right? They still think it's the same quality. They still think they're getting unbiased and, totally apolitical takes. But what's really happened is it's become almost this propaganda arm with, government intelligence agencies, et cetera, whether it's NPR or BBC and even your regular, ABC, NBC, all these things, they have these leaks that the government people leak to the media, and then it's like when they want to have a narrative or they want to push a certain thing, and they give them talking points. So they're not actually real journalists anymore. They're almost just propagandists. But I think that still needs to be cleaned up, and I hope it does, because there is a segment of people that only watch that still. So it would be nice if if they can actually look and respond and say, okay, trust in media has gone down to its all-time low at like 12%, like 12, 13, 14, 15% of people trust what they see on TV. That is pathetic and abysmal, right? So you'd think these people that are in these positions will look in the mirror and say, hey, what we're doing is not working. The lies are not working anymore. People are not believing this propaganda. Let's actually create some real news stories. Let's do some real research.
You'd think that happened, but it seems like the exact opposite's happening. They're doubling down and trying even harder. And I mean, just the media in itself, cable TV is just going to be going away because I mean, I haven't had a subscription to any cable for over a decade at this point, and I know all of my contemporaries don't have one either. So, I mean, it's just gonna fade out. It's gonna take a couple decades for it to fully disappear. But I don't see how that cable model works anymore. Not in the current age.
Yeah, I think Matt Taibbi was on Tucker Carlson's pod recently, and they were talking about this a little bit. He was kind of saying like this era of credentialism is over. People are not buying it anymore, and they don't want it, they don't like it, and they're done with it. And the eyeballs will show you that. I mean, you can see where all of the viewership is going. I mean, Joe Rogan gets 100 million, views on his podcast. Meanwhile, like some of these people that are sitting on the cable news networks are getting like 20,000 views. Like at the same time, it's like
I think when that generation dies out, so will that media.
Yeah.
I mean, also, just because you have credentials doesn't mean you're any good. Some people are just good at taking tests and they can get through.
Yeah. True.
But when it comes to the actual work, they're terrible.
Yeah.
But think of how
sure
much our establishment's built on that premise. of,
Yeah.
Yeah, we
I've
are
got the
totally
Yeah,
credentials.
the society.
Yeah,
of
the
it.
credentials.
I've always
I mean, you
rejected
can't
that
be
in
a
large part.
massage therapist without a proper license.
You can't
and
be a
all the
barber
right
without a
credit-
license. I
Yeah.
mean, all this does is
it's all
hurt people.
Well, I mean, you do want some people to have a minimum bar, but it becomes, is it
True.
just trying to make sure they're not, like a barber that's not trying to bleach your hair and putting acid on your hair or something like
Yeah.
that.
That barber won't last long though.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
That's true. You think the market would flush
the market
that,
would
right?
easily figure that out.
Right.
Who's
Right.
quality, who's not, and the market already largely has done that. I mean, all these different certifications and stuff. People just don't even care anymore. And
Right. I mean, I guess the bigger problem is it's required by law to do it. Because if you went to somebody and said, "Oh yeah, I went and talked to a doctor or talked to this cosmetology school and they taught me all the right and safe ways to do it," I mean, I'd be happy to do it. Or you can have a guy say, "Oh, I went to YouTube and figured out how to do it." I mean, some people are teaching themselves incredible things off YouTube.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily a knock, but I don't know.
maybe just like some kind of, instead of having to put in, like, I think it was something like a barber needs like 1,200. They need more hours than a police officer that has a weapon and stuff. I mean, that is like insane, right? I mean, like that's ridiculous. There should be some way that a barber that has been self-taught or whatever can go and not have to spend 1,200 hours and tens of thousands of dollars to go
just
to
be able to
whatever
cut some hair.
school to go prove that they're qualified, that they understand. I get the health. Like with barber, a lot of it, like the test, I think, is like a lot of about medical. Like, hey, if somebody gets cut, you do this. Like, somebody can study for that
sanitation.
test in a couple hours, understand the science, and go take that test. I don't have a problem with that. But the way it is now is you have to have so many hours and all this. And like, it's at some point, you've created this huge debt for yourself. And it's like you spend all this time where you could have been making money. It's ridiculous.
But all the
it needs-
current
it needs to be
barbers
moved.
with the license want you to have to go through all that because
Because
it
they already
moves
went through it.
competition.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, I know. But that's why a lot of these
Yeah.
things stick around is because the people that already have it are trying to keep other people out. 'cause they
yeah,
have
I don't know.
competition.
I think it's just, some of these states, they get into these things where it's like a revenue generation thing. And it's
Yeah,
like,
it's making
it actually just ends up hurting the economy more though. The unseen knock-on effects are much larger than the upfront things that you actually see. What do we got? What do you got next for us, Paul? Huh. This is a great one. Number of genders, 4004 BC to 2020 AD, 2021 AD to 2024 AD, 73. And then back to the present, we're back to 2. Yeah, I mean, I think this just,
That's hilarious.
This just encapsulates.
Should have been 73
the-
plus because I know they're still
Yeah.
discovering more.
They're still discovering more.
That's
And
right.
The absolute
Don't cap that,
absurdity
right?
of this mental illness stuff that's going on. You know, I feel bad for a lot of these people that have these illnesses, right? But you know, you don't enable somebody with mental illness. At least that's my take.
I mean, it's just been we haven't been strong enough as a society to tell them, no, there's only two. Like I know you think that there's more, but
Yeah.
that's kind of a psychological condition. There's
can't
only
identify as
two.
a
We just
dog
didn't want to
anymore.
hurt their feelings,
Think
so we
it
never
It's
set them straight.
it's theirs feelings. You didn't want to hurt theirs.
Theirs.
No,
feelings.
Zer's feelings.
It's oh wait, what are the proper pronouns?
Are we gonna get kicked off of all of the social media
Probably. We're
platforms?
about
now?
to get bounced.
Are we gonna get bounced?
Yeah, we're on X, the only one that matters.
That's true. Rumble's good too.
Yeah.
So is Odyssey.
All the ones that
Shame
are
on
streaming
you.
on are good.
Shame on you. YouTube.
There was a great comment there about 405 BC was fantastic. I love that. The people with a serious historical perspective.
What do you got for us next? What a change. What a change. Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says banks are perfectly able to serve crypto customers. What a surprise.
Shocking.
What a change here. Wow. I mean,
Wow.
you know, this is a pretty large change in messaging with the new administration coming into power. Also, I think there was a guy named Bill something. He was part of the, I think he was part of the Fed where he was really pushing a lot of this stuff to crack down on crypto companies and try to basically prevent them from accessing the financial system and integrating it all. And I think there was a lot of pressure put on him by the Trump administration and officials and team, and I think he resigned and he's gone now. So you're kind of seeing the messaging, and Powell's very good. He's he stays very, very even keel with his messaging. He's very calculated. He's very, you know, like a politician. Like he will not stray from whatever the dialogue is. So I think him saying this is signaling to the market that, hey, we are now going to allow technology and advancement in America again. We're we're not going to play these games anymore where we decide as unelected officials, you know, to freeze out perfectly legal industries from the banking system, right? So I think this is.
Oh, yeah. Did you hear when Trump the other day was asked about that, about whether or not the Fed would listen to him?
No, what did he say?
He just said, yes, they're going to listen to me.
The Fed. So
It was like stone cold, like,
Yeah. I mean,
that's
the
what's
Fed.
about to happen.
The Fed is largely the idea behind the Fed is that they remain apolitical, like they're not swayed by one administration or the other. I mean, ideally, yeah, but you know, Trump has a way to
yeah,
put
but
the
trying to
pressure
have
onto
the
people.
current banks adopt crypto
Mm.
is a little bit against the ethos of
Yeah,
crypto.
it's
Well,
like
true.
going against
So here's the thing.
decentralization.
A lot
I mean,
of-
it would good for the masses.
A lot of banks were in the process of onboarding and transitioning people. In the crypto economy, we're still going to need banks. They're still going to exist. I mean, you're still going to need people need loans and lending. I mean, it's still a thing, right? You know, some of it can be algorithmically done, and it can be automated into smart contracts. But some things people still want to go and sit down with somebody and evaluate and be coached and taught. Hey, you know, maybe I shouldn't take out this much debt if I've got this. I mean, there's absolutely something to be said.
Yeah,
from
but
that.
there's plenty of services that do that already. It's financial planners. They do the same type of things. They can help you strategize that type of stuff. And I do agree that banks will
Lending
probably
is important. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what banks do,
There
I
used to
mean.
be entire. I don't remember. It was like in around the 80s or 90s. It was entire companies that all they did was lending.
Mhm.
I can't remember the name of those things.
But there's a lot of stuff even within banks right now that can benefit massively from using crypto and blockchain in the background, especially facilitating bank-to-bank transfers. And a lot of this was going on and was being started to be ramped up to increase efficiency, which of course helps consumers, right?
Oh.
It makes things more efficient. It brings down costs. It lets money move more freely. So these things were being inputted before they got killed by the whole choke point 2.0 thing. I think a lot of these systems with the banks, Silvergate, and some of these other ones were rolling out some of these systems.
Well, I mean,
point
for sure,
two.
blockchain's coming to the banking industry. Like it's just
Yeah.
a superior way than we're doing it right now. So no matter what, we're moving in towards that as being the new standard.
Eleanor Terra, this is my favorite one from this week, or one of my favorites. Former SEC Gov Chair Gary Gensler has returned to MIT, where he will take up the role of professor of the practice in the Global Economics and Management Group in the Finance Group. According to the university, he will teach and conduct research on artificial intelligence, finance, fintech, and public policy. Someone says, "Will Gensler be pro crypto again now that he's teaching fintech like he
Let's
was
sign
when
up
he
for
was
that.
running the MIT course?" I mean, this is ridiculous. This guy's a clown. I can't believe that they are bringing him back after what he's done the past 4 years. I mean, what a disgrace.
They just gave him an easy out.
Where they're going to let him, what's going to happen here? He will teach and conduct research on AI, artificial intelligence, and then what, in 4 years, is he going to be the new AI czar so he can come in and try to regulate and stop anybody from doing anything and set the industry back, set America back another 4 years? I mean, this is bullshit. That's my take.
They
What do
just
you guys
gave him
got?
the cushy out, I think.
What do you guys got?
Well, it seems like it's a standard Democrat play. You know, you have somebody do what needs to be done, and then you give them a nice cushy job somewhere else.
There you go. I know. Retire pleasantly.
Mm-hmm.
Hanging out on campus with all the co-eds. Which I hear maybe there. You're never sure.
This was an interesting one. A study finds that giving men a single dose of testosterone fully eliminated prosocial behavior. Prosocial means to virtue signal, to feign kindness or be admired or accepted. Verdict: men with healthy testosterone levels will be more honest and are more likely to challenge social standards. Wow, what a shocker.
So that goes back to what I was
So,
saying.
like-
is like the last 4 years we haven't been honest with people. And we've had studies that testosterone is declining in our society. That's why.
Yeah, and then you see people like Bezos and Zuckerberg all of a sudden start working out, start exercising, living a healthy lifestyle, and all of a sudden they turn in from like the most woke, clownish of the clowns. Now, all of a sudden now they start swinging to the right. It's kind of wild. It's interesting to observe. Censoring
dose.
people, and with all this crazy, all this crazy. Woke stuff happening, and we're only going to hire people if they're a certain color of basically institutionalized racism.
So what does it say about the argument about toxic masculinity and about how we were supposed to somehow weed that out of the population?
I don't
Turns
know.
out that
Except for they kept trying to claim all masculinity as toxic. So whenever
all of it, right?
Yeah, basically,
Yeah.
whenever a guy would stand up and say, "Hey, that's wrong," they call it toxic when he's just seeing
Standing
things
up
that are
for-
wrong in society, and he's trying to
calling
call
it
them
out, right,
Yep.
right. I know it seemed like such a wet blanket on anything that was contrary to what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
What do you got next for us, Paul?
Oh, let's move on.
So here's an interesting one. Not a lot of people know about this guy named called Benjamin Losky. So here's a little, Bruce Fenton's doing a little recap on this. So before Gary Gensler, there was Benjamin Losky. Everyone who was around in the early cycles knew the name of Ben Losky. Losky was head of the New York Financial Services from 2011 to 2015. Prior to this, Losky worked as legal counselor for Senator Chuck Schumer, as chief of staff for Governor Andrew Cuomo, and assistant U.S. attorney for the famous Southern District of New York. So a lot of people don't know this, but Benjamin Losky was one of the initial regulators in New York. I'm not going to read the whole post about it, but basically he was kind of like a Gensler before there was a Gensler, right? He came in and he said, look, we need to have all this regulation for this. We need to have and basically all of these new startup companies, it was like, could not afford to do this. It was like insane, like 50 pages of like stuff you had to do, certifications, all this stuff that was like totally unnecessary for new startups to even be engaged with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he basically was going to make tons of companies leave New York, which a lot of them did. Only like one or two companies were able to comply with this. I think it was the Winklevoss twins with Gemini. They were able to they had a lot of money, and they were able to hire the lawyers and hire all these people to do this thing. And he very strategically was involved. I think they were in coordination when they arrested Charlie, our friend Charlie, and Charlie Shrem, and they were behind a lot of that. And then they used it as this. They tried to make an example out of him to try to use it to sway all this regulation and put this thing called the bit license in play, which they ultimately did. This Benjamin Losky character. I mean, they had this hearing, and I remember watching it. It was like this whole thing where they were like, terrorism and all this stuff, like basically trying money laundering, terrorism, try to turn it into this huge thing so he could push all of his total over-regulatory reach onto the scene. And I think Eric Voorhees at the time was one person who was completely speaking out about this. There's some great clips of him just shredding this guy. And sure enough, what does this guy do? He puts forth all this regulation and all this law. And then the second he leaves office, what do you think he does? Hey, come hire me. I'll teach you how to comply with these laws.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what he did.
See,
just
so
it's
He
just such
made a job for
such
himself.
You see
Yeah.
Michelle's comment?
Create
right there?
here's
Yes.
Michelle.
Love that.
Miss Michelle, here it is. Create
Michelle.
complex BS regulation, retire to a consulting job in which you advise on how to deal with said regulation. And this is precisely how Washington D.C. operates. It's criminal. I agree, it is criminal. I mean, this is ridiculous. These people just are an impediment to humanity's progress. They
Why
really
are
are.
they doing this? If they're impediment to humanity's progress, it doesn't make sense. Are
Because-
they getting paid in the
they're
back?
They're getting
end,
paid
or-
as
getting paid,
politicians to do it, and then after that, they create a job for themselves when they get out into the private sector to
So
comply
it's
with
all-
the regulations that they themselves created. I mean, it's the ultimate grift.
Well, not only that, all these people that already have the positions, they try their damnedest to keep the problem going, so they keep having a job. Like I
so
think
they
we,
keep making money.
yeah,
off
I think it wasn't until like 2019 that the Y2K commission finally closed down or something like that. And
Yeah,
so,
so-
yeah, they don't want the problem to go away.
Well,
They wanna create more
it ultimately
problems.
kept a lot of people from doing business in New York, and to this day, New York is in my opinion, terrible place to have a crypto business. I would never start a company there.
Any
I would
business.
never start any business there. Yeah, I mean, it's just a terrible business climate. Almost, we're verging on communism. Very much socialist policies, all sorts of stuff. Anti-capitalist
Just so the
policies.
politics at the top can benefit.
Yeah, high taxes. I mean, just kind of crazy. So they basically forced everybody out of New York, which is sad because New York New York City is like the financial
I mean, it's
capital of
New
the world.
York
It's always-
City.
yeah,
it's
you know what I
well
mean. So
known, you know what I mean?
you don't want to create for a nascent growing industry all of this in huge hurdles and hurdle blocks. You want to allow innovation, foster innovation, create incentives, and then when everything matures, you say, hey,
Now we
you
got to
know,
regulate a little
yeah,
bit. And
yeah.
yeah, but don't forget,
then
there's,
you learn what the problems are. You learn, hey, here's things we can fix, but you can't try to solve a problem before you
Before
even know
problems
what they are.
even
You know,
arise.
You're gonna,
I mean, the people at the top, though, they always try and push for the regulation because they can afford the accountants and the lawyers to do all the paperwork, and it keeps competition out.
yeah, it creates this regulatory mode. Zuckerberg was the master at this. You're seeing Sam Altman, the Darth Vader. He's working on this right now.
Yes.
That guy gives me straight up SBF vibes. I don't care what anybody says.
we
But,
go.
Oh, you're so
here we
right.
go.
You're
I
so
saw that. Yeah,
right.
there you
Oh
go.
my
That was the
God.
next take. Sam Altman gives me SBF vibes. He really does. I've been screaming it for the past year. I just don't trust that guy. And he's again, it is literally like you start a company called. I've gone off on tangents before. Your company that was started as a donation, as a charity, right? By a huge investment from Elon to basically counter closed source AI, which was what Google was doing. And basically have an open source sort of alternative, a not-for-profit company. He was put in charge of that, and instead of following through with the mission of the charity that was established, right? It's like open. The name is literally OpenAI. When he found out that they could make money, now he wants it to be. Yeah, he found out he likes Bugattis. See, I don't care about money. He's driving around in a Bugatti. Let's call a spade a spade. So OpenAI, which is still called OpenAI, is actually now closed for-profit AI, right? They're switching to a for-profit and all this. It is what it is. I mean, look, if you want to have a for-profit entity, do all this stuff, but the problem is the name is literally an oxymoron to what it was set out to be. I mean, the whole thing to me is just screams, lack of integrity.
Well, I don't know how to deal with the fact that now we have the DeepSeek one that kind of is undermining his entire revenue model. And
We'll get into that
and
later.
then Gwyn one too.
We'll get into that one for sure, but it's
That was a big.
He's also got
awakening.
then there's all
controversy.
these there's a lot of
he's got a lot of
controversy.
controversy around him.
His sister is saying that he was
Yeah, it's just-
I mean, again, I'm not a guy who's going to say just believe somebody because they say something, right? You got to have proof, but
Yeah.
it just kind of adds to this all of these different things, right? When you hear
Scroll
there's
up a little
smoke,
bit.
Their
there's
sister's
fire.
screaming abuse.
Yeah, so there's that.
I want to
there's-
go with that one, but after all of the smoke they were screaming about Trump and then no fire ever showed up.
It's true.
I'm just saying, like it's just something that's in the ether. I'm not just going to believe everything because she says it, right? But
Yeah.
it's hey, it's out there. The allegation's made, right?
Yeah, won't believe it, but I'll consider it.
There, yeah, it's just something that needs to be thought about, I guess. But yeah, what do we got here? What do you got next for us? We're going right into DeepSeek. Okay, so DeepSeek increases my conviction that Bitcoin must be the hurdle rate for capital deployment. AI innovation at this speed and scale will substantially disrupt valuation metrics across industries and is not currently priced in. Those who secure a war chest of Bitcoin will be the long-run winners, picking up distressed assets for pennies on the dollar. Focus on three things: AI, Bitcoin, and energy. So interesting post here by Matt Cole. Here's my take. So a lot of people don't know what's happened and what's going on. I'll try to explain it.
Break this down for me.
In layman's, okay? So compute and AI, these AI models, large language models like ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, they depend on huge data centers and GPUs like what we operate through our company, millions and thousands of GPUs all over the place to train and build these models. What's being alleged here is that this Chinese team, and there's Paul, I don't know if you recently see the one. Here it is by David Sachs. Yeah, perfect. David Sachs actually had a more recent post that I also flagged on this, but see if you can find it from today. I added it today, I believe. It was a really good post. But basically, to train those models costs billions of dollars, in some cases 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 billion dollars to train for hours to use these GPUs in the data center. They're running energy full throttle, and they're just all talking to each other, training like a giant brain, a huge brain. Think about it. Like you're just training this brain, and this brain can take months to train of just running those GPUs, simulations, processes, AI modeling. They're just burning energy, right? With DeepSeek, what this Chinese team is essentially claiming is that they made this process to create a brain more efficient, which is true. They did make it more efficient. They made some shortcuts. They figured out, well, hey, you can spend all this energy, but if you just train it, instead of going to be this accurate, if you just make it less accurate, it'll still figure out the majority of the things. So they've made improvements in the process of the training, right? They're claiming that they spent only $6 million to do it. I don't buy that. I don't think that's true. I think, and Sachs also had a post about it. I think it's right here, right? New report by leading semiconductor analyst Dylan Patel shows that DeepSeek spent over $1 billion on its compute cluster. The widely reported $6 million number is highly misleading as it excludes CapEx and R&D, and at best describes the cost of the final training run only. So here's a more accurate. So did they train this model more efficiently? I think they did. Did they have some breakthroughs? Absolutely. But I think it's being totally overdone in the market, and I think that we're still going to need massive compute going forward.
I also heard they were piggybacking off of the OpenAI model.
So again, they stole intellectual property maybe in their training, which they don't have the same intellectual property laws and rights and stuff that we have in America. Over in China, we all know that. Of course, that's obvious. So they might have used some of OpenAI's data or whatever, used their model to help train their own model, which it is what it is. They did release this open source, and they did absolutely outline a lot of the improvements they made and what they did. And there is some extreme genius there. They've made some breakthroughs, right? We saw a similar situation occur with cloud cloud storage, right? As the cost of cloud storage went down, we made some breakthroughs on that cloud storage. We actually spent more money because it was still so powerful and useful that I think that these breakthroughs are inevitable in these training processes. But regardless, I mean, it is going to allow more competition. It's going to allow more companies to create AI large language models for less spend. So it's going to allow more participants to come in. I think this is actually insanely bullish. So that's kind of a contrarian take right now because everyone's freaking out and saying, and there's actually a law about this. I can't remember what it's called. I'm trying to remember the law.
I also got a question for you guys. So that's the R1, I think that's what it was called.
DeepSeek R1, yeah. DeepSeek's the company.
That's what they released. Do you think they might have one that they kept held back that has even better capabilities?
I'm not sure because the one they released is still far behind the leading model. So you think if they had a model that could take on OpenAI or is better than
right. Well, they just gave out the one they did to disrupt the market, and they caused Nvidia to tank
it doesn't
20% or something
so
like that.
This DeepSeek model is still worse than the leading models. They just
I'm just curious if they held back a better model and they were just trying to cause disruption in the market.
That to me wouldn't make economic sense because if you have a better model, then you can disrupt. Then you can literally go right at OpenAI and say, "Hey, our shit's better. We're going to take the lead now." Right? Why would you? I mean, that's the whole point, is to release something the best of the best.
Well, you can do it multiple times. You have one that disrupts the market, and then a month later, do it again. Just a thought.
Yeah, someone was shorting it probably.
They were talking about that too. The hedge fund or whatever that behind DeepSeek, they put all this out with that low number of it only costs us $6 million to do this because they might have had a bunch of shorts on Nvidia stock, right, when the market freaked out.
You saw Nancy Pelosi sold a bunch of her Nvidia beforehand. She is the best stock trader there is.
Why am I not surprised?
I just started following her.
We saw something the other day. She's got a new AI company she bought like a month ago, and it's up like Tempest. It's up like 80%. Like
and it did move. Boom. It did move with the DeepSeek release.
Classic.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of this law though, but so I think.
Are you referring to Moore's law?
No, it's not Moore's law. It's not any of the ones we talk about.
And Camp's law.
it had to do with like cloud computing. We saw very similar. So I'm sorry, when I say cloud, I mean like cloud storage. I think we saw this breakthrough in cloud storage where the costs of different terabytes of storage went down drastically, and law about cloud storage. We're just plugging this into.
I know Paul's mic is hot.
Let's see. There was a law.
It might
Not
be
it's not a financial law.
It's trying to get you actual laws, not like science
didn't you
laws or
ask
something.
DeepSeek
Say
to
it's a
answer that?
scientific. It's a scientific
Done,
theory
give it
or
a go.
law. But basically, cloud storage costs went down drastically, and you'd think that people would spend less money at that point, like because the savings would be so extreme. But what it actually unlocked was it unlocked the market for cloud storage to more people at a lower cost. So what you actually saw spending accelerate, even with all those breakthroughs. So I
It's
think the
also
same thing
because
plays
when
here.
it first started coming out, only
The law begins with a G or a Z. I can't remember the name of it, Paul.
only a
So-
couple people are
But
going to be.
it's not like a law, like a regulatory law. It's like a scientific law.
So, so when we first started having the cloud storage, I'm sure only a handful of people did it. But as it got better, more people piled into it and increased demand.
Gilder's law. There you go.
love that.
I think that's what it is. I think it's called Gilder's law.
From Gilderland.
Yeah. So Gilder's law.
Where's Gilder? The bandwidth shall grow increasingly faster than computing.
No, it's Zucker's law. There it is.
There it is.
Zucker's law. Less well known. I can't read it because you open that right in front of me. There it is.
He's blocking.
Less well known. This relates to the idea that as technology advances, costs decline while efficiency improves.
Yeah.
Another possibility is Grosch's law, which suggests that computing power increases proportionally to the square of its cost. But yeah, I think it's probably Zucker's law. Yeah, I think it's Zucker's law. It's some combination of those two, but basically what ended up happening is you'd think because the technology got cheaper, you'd think that people would spend less money, but actually
The masses.
the masses spent more money. It became more accessible for people, and people wanted it even more. They found more things to store in the cloud, right? Pictures, images, cat videos, whatever.
Oh man, the cat videos.
Before it was only like companies that could fucking pay to store all that data. All right, let's see what we got here. What do we got up next on the docket?
Oh no.
Oh, let's see.
Oh no.
Here's what you got for us. Breaking. Just 24 hours before an American Airlines flight collided with a Black Hawk at Reagan National Airport, another American flight had to abort landing due to a helicopter crossing its flight path at the same time. AA4514 can be seen on radar having to go around and make a second attempt and is currently under investigation. This should not be happening. So just to highlight this, there was a horrific accident that occurred. A lot of people lost their lives, and Trump had a whole press conference about it recently. I think a couple months ago, I was watching something about how people were blowing the alarm on the FAA what they were doing, the DEI hiring practices, basically using race as criteria to hire people, diversity, all these different things. And this was a topic of conversation in the previous administration because I think it was the Blaze TV. Somebody did a whole special on this. And we don't really know all the specifics yet. We don't have all the details. But what I did read the other day that came out pretty recently was that this was a female pilot who was flying the Black Hawk with less than 500 hours of experience flying. And I'm not, saying that she was a DEI hire. We don't know the facts of that when it comes to the person flying the plane. But the people who are working these air traffic controller towers and doing all this stuff, they were trying to bring in people with intellectual disabilities,
My name is
people.
Jeff.
My name is Jeff. Yeah, people with many problems.
I think the one in DC where they had the helicopter crash was like only had like a third of the staff they were supposed to have because they just didn't have enough people to work there, and potentially because of the whole DEI problem. But I mean, maybe that was.
I mean, again, I have no problem with trying to hire people with certain disabilities. It just depends, what are you hiring them to do? Are people's lives at stake? I mean, should we be making an effort to hire people with psychiatric disorders and intellectual disabilities when people's lives are on the line?
Mm-hmm.
I think absolutely not, right? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is insane behavior.
We should always be going for meritorious hiring.
Yeah.
Like if there's enough capacity where you can hire on somebody that isn't the best, awesome. But no, like you said, with people's lives on the line, we need to have the people who are best qualified for it.
A couple things like, obviously there's been a lot of these near misses, near problems. Here's another example of one. So I think there's been a lack of competence and of people in these ATF towers working, and that's been a large push by the previous administration to hire people that are less competent. I mean, using things other than merit to hire at these positions. The other thing is, like I said, there was a female pilot flying with less than 500 hours of experience. I have no idea why she would ever be doing training hours. I guess they were saying this was a training mission or something like that. Why would she be doing a training mission near an airport where there are civilians and people flying? I mean, to me, that's absolutely absurd. That training should be happening in the middle of the middle of Nevada desert or something. I mean, crazy. And I guess from what AI was saying, can't always trust everything you read, but 500 hours is considered, not very long when it comes to piloting a helicopter. It's considering low level of experience. So the fact that she was allowed to fly there in a commercial area around passenger planes with what's considered a low level of experience, flying an airplane or flying a helicopter, I don't know. It just doesn't add up to me. It doesn't sound good. And, some of the videos showing the flight path is like she flew right at the plane. I mean, kind of crazy. I don't know.
Didn't Trump just sign a bunch of things like fixing that?
Yes. We just recently, there was a lot of executive orders and actions passed to get rid of all this DEI, essential nonsense. Really, what it is institutionalized racism. It's a very hard thing for people to grasp their mind around, but for me, it's very simple. It's just like I always think back to the Martin Luther King quote. Don't judge a man by the color of his character. Don't judge a man by the color of his skin. Judge him by the content of his character, etc. Right. So, when you're discriminating against a person based on their race, that's obviously terrible. Well, the same thing is when you're giving preferential treatment to people based on their race. It's the same problem. It's just the same fucking problem. You're a racist. You're a racist over here, and you're a racist over here. Right. So all this shit just has to stop. The correct response from the government or from any entity is to just treat people as individuals. Right. Is this individual competent to do the job? Are they competent? Do they have the skills? Race should never be a factor in any hiring, in any choosing a position, etc. That is how I feel about it, and that's my opinion. Where do you guys come in?
I agree with your overall sentiment, but it should come into a factor if you're trying to hire an actor to play a Norwegian person.
Fair enough.
Well,
You got me.
Yeah, like How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay.
No, it's all
I
right.
want
It
you
needs to
to
be Nordic
pretend
people.
you're an air helicopter pilot. Imagine you're coming out of Nam. You're flying the crew in. Yeah, that's the role. No, she was flying a DoorDash in, and she was late.
You lost me there.
She was a DoorDash delivery pilot. She was moonlighting as DoorDash. No offense to the good people of DoorDash. All right, you can delete that.
Under the Biden administration, the FAA and other government agencies had absolutely insane hiring practices that endangered the public. President Donald Trump and his team are working rapidly to restore competent personnel to all positions involving your safety. Yeah, I mean, as it should be. This is just common sense, right? And this is why Trump was elected. I mean, there's just been such a lack of common sense.
I think it was Adam Carolla. He was talking about how he applied to be a fireman in California.
He had to
and-
wait.
He was too handsome.
Yeah,
Communist state of California.
Yeah, that place. He applied and he didn't get a call back for like 5 years.
That's insane.
And then when he finally showed up, he was standing in line with somebody else. I think it was a woman, and he's like, "Oh, when did you apply?" She's like, "Oh, yesterday."
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, and like he's been trying for years,
That's
and
absurd.
Young man would have been a great firefighter, and then
So yeah, here it is right here.
Ridiculous.
And this was what I was talking about. I'm glad you found this, Paul, because I had added this to the thing. So this was actually from November 20th, 2024. So this is from 3 to 4 months ago. The Blaze did a whole special on this. They said, "'Tis the season for holiday travel, which makes it the perfect time to drop Blaze TV's latest original, Countdown to the Next Aviation Disaster. Over the past 4 years, the FAA has been plagued by outdated technology and a shift toward DEI hiring practices, and the results have been disastrous. The aviation industry has never felt more unsafe, from aircraft malfunctions mid-flight to an alarming increase in near misses. The Biden-Harris administration, with Pete Buttigieg at the helm of transportation, has created one of the most dangerous environments for what used to be the most convenient way to travel." So, can't say nobody was blowing the alarm on this and bringing this to the forefront, because this has been an issue and people have been calling it out. So,
well, I can say one thing about the outdated technology. I was talking with a pilot, and they would have to update the software in their console, and he had to go there with a stack of 50 floppy disks and just cycle through them.
Floppy disks?
Because like getting the replacement with that had a USB or something was like $100,000, where the floppy disks were like $10.
Okay.
Wow.
in somebody's time. So they would just always go with the floppy disks.
wow.
Well, it's because of all.
technology. I mean, they get it to work because they're trying to save money. But,
Yeah, well, it's because
terrible.
like to get approval
to
through all
upgrade it.
that,
They'd
it
have
was
to
like
replace-
millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So
What do you got next for us, Paul? Let's move along. DEI kills people, literally. DEI is structural racism, believing the ends justify the means. On the other hand, diversity is a natural byproduct of a meritocracy. The key term is that equity in DEI means to do anything to ensure equal outcomes. That's not meritocratic, it's racist. I agree. That's exactly what I was saying. I mean,
well, but what's a more broad term? Because if it's about your gender, then it's not racism; it's sexism.
yeah, I mean, I think.
I mean, it could be any of those things.
So here's
Racist, sexist.
Who's this Dr. Rachel Levine?
Rachel
Four-star.
Levine. Rachel
Yeah.
Levine is a mentally ill
Yeah, I've been searching all
transgender.
over. So what?
Rachel Levine.
Yeah.
She's the head
What's
of.
the deal with her?
She was the previous, or he transitioned to
Her,
a she.
whatever.
So, but they were the Biden administration put that individual at the head of, I think, the lead the health department or something.
Yeah, I thought so.
Somebody
Department
with
of Health.
somebody with a mental illness to
HHS,
lead the HHS. Or I mean, just crazy. They had all the other one. There was another one that was stealing.
Oh, the luggages, right?
The one with a man that turned into a woman with lipstick on that was stealing people's luggages. I mean, like this is like the head of a.
Secretary for Health.
I mean,
the
it was.
admiral in charge of the United States Public Health Services.
It was honestly wild. Somebody that's literally mentally ill has gender
it's
dysphoria
crazy.
or whatever is the head of the health department. I mean, this is like I feel like I was watching Gotham City. I feel like I was watching like Arkham Asylum where the inmates were running the asylum. They how could some of these people get security clearances? The head of the other one with the lipstick and the bald head, that one was
I think you just had a
stealing.
picture.
You have a picture of that one? Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
That one.
What is this?
I mean, that is
Because
obviously.
I mean, like
Secretary.
that's easy blackmail.
That's a
material.
clearly. This is
Admin. Oh, man.
nuclear secretary. The admin of the nuclear secretary. I mean, this is insane. This individual is clearly mentally ill, has lipstick
Stealing
on and
women's
a bald
airport
head,
luggage.
and is stealing people's luggage from the airport. I mean, this is the person that's in charge of a nuclear agency.
And this is all the DEI
I mean,
stuff
this
that they're
is
pushing for.
this is
that
insane.
They
I
were
mean,
pushing
how
for.
could how does this possibly happen?
Oh man.
I mean, just totally insane.
So, do we criticize the behavior or the person?
I mean,
the behavior. No,
the
people who
behavior is
put them in
absolutely-
positions of
yeah,
responsibility.
this person should not be. I
Okay,
mean,
if you want to do that, but don't be put in a position where you're,
I mean, this
responsible.
person is literally leading an
I mean,
energy
there's a lot
department. I
of
mean,
stuff
that's
like
like
that's
that.
crazy.
They have access to nuclear stuff. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, totally
Well,
absurd.
what do we want them to look like then?
Somebody who doesn't look mentally ill and who clearly doesn't have a mental illness and who is stealing people's
So
luggage
there
from
is
the airport.
something about that surface image that betrays something else going on, right? That we don't trust.
I mean, obviously,
Well, I'll
when
just
you have
speak for
a
myself,
when
that
you
I
have
don't
a
trust.
when you have a man dressing like a woman wearing, I don't even think that's a mustache.
again,
is
they're
that
not being
realistic?
hired
or
for
mu-
credentials,
Girls
mustache?
just
are
want to
they?
have fun, man.
I don't know what the I don't know what the
Why are we hating?
I don't know what the credentials are here, but I mean that is insane. I mean this person.
So we're
is,
back to credentialism problem,
the
right?
person's clearly mentally ill.
so
What are the
credentials,
credentials?
I
What
mean,
are the
Well, we
credentials?
don't know.
Put in
We want
position.
our air traffic
It sounds like the
controllers to be
credentials
so
are
what?
DEI,
I want
you
my
know?
eye surgeon to be one out of them, but not my journalist.
Not
My
my jour-
journalists
I mean,
need to
if
be
you're trying to
free
be truth-
range, freaking.
I want somebody who's in
writers.
charge of a nuclear department not to be mentally ill. I mean that is what I want.
I mean, I agree with that, but like even they're out there committing crimes. That's like prime
Yeah.
person to blackmail.
Yeah.
Like even if they was sitting aside the whole wearing the dress, putting the lipstick on, they're literally doing things that would get them convicted. So that if anyone can compromise them, then they
I
have
don't know.
access to the nuclear.
crazy.
Chair.
Let's move along. What do we got? Where are we at here? This is what I wanted to talk about. So I guess there are these astronauts that have been stranded, right? And
for
this
months.
NPR runs this article like, hey, this pair of people are stranded on the ISS, right? So because the Boeing or whoever, was
Yeah, it was
incompetent. Boeing was incompetent, could not figure out how to get the space shuttle up there, whatever, right? So I think Trump has literally asked Elon to go up there to help these people, get these people down from the ISS. And like NPR literally said they were stranded in an article a couple months ago, and now NPR is running an article that says Trump asks SpaceX to go get 2 stranded ISS astronauts. They're not stranded. So this is
just in the middle of space.
Do they look stranded? I mean,
they look pretty
come
stranded.
on.
They look pretty
They're
stranded.
having a good time. Have you seen Passengers?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So here's the article from a month ago. It says the stranded pair, Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams.
They're supposed to be up there for 8 days.
Yeah, so funny.
And they've
right?
been up there for almost 6.
Yeah, so they're clearly
enjoy the
stranded
muscle
at the
loss.
ISS. But it just goes to show you that like these news outlets like NPR, literally, how can you trust these? How can you trust them? I mean, they're literally just running propaganda. It's like, they had to write an article to try to make Trump and Elon look bad. And like they're contradicting the article they put out like a couple months ago. It just, to me, blows my mind. It just shows the hypocrisy and how you can't trust
the best way that I heard it phrased was from Michael Malice. He's saying they are factual, they're not truthful. So they'll say things. Yeah, even at this point, they've gone off the other.
I don't think they're factual at all. They're not factual or truthful.
Well, no. This was a little while ago. That's like a Huffington Post thing that was attacking somebody. It's like, oh, people in white coats claiming to be doctors were in the front of this area giving a presentation. They were doctors wearing their white coats.
Yeah.
It was so they were leading you to think that these are crazy people.
Yeah.
But everything they said was factual.
Yeah, it's called
it's not truthful.
It's like framing. It's called framing.
Yeah, framing.
It's called framing. It's manipulation and propaganda. So shame on you, NPR. Shame on you. And Brendan Byrne or whoever wrote that article.
Although,
what do we got next?
I can
Paul?
imagine those 2 astronauts. They're like covering up the camera, like, "Yeah, we're not ready yet. Just give us a couple more days."
Oh, go back. That was
The ISS is not.
Here's another culture war one.
Am I the only one that saw that?
Go back to the Washington State one, Paul. There we go.
They're having a good time.
I want to talk about this. Washington State Democrats voted not to inform parents if a child is sexually abused by a school employee. I mean, you cannot make this shit up. I mean, unbelievable. House Democrats on the Educational Committee voted.
Can we expand on that?
Against,
is there more context?
They voted against an amendment to House Bill 1296 that would have required school districts to immediately notify parents if a student is the victim of sexual misconduct by an employee.
I'm not sure if more context would make that better.
No, I just want to get a bigger That's just
somebody underneath says
so hard for me to believe like this shit's
can't,
actually
you
going on.
literally can't make
you
this
know
shit
what
up.
I mean,
like you cannot make this shit up. You literally can't make it up. Parents are also not entitled to receive immediate notification if a criminal action is deemed to have been committed against their child or by their child. I mean, that is just insane.
Who are they trying to protect here?
Where?
You know what I mean?
That's a good question.
Who
The
are they
state.
trying to protect?
Yeah,
The teacher.
The state. I mean, crazy.
Wow.
Parents are not entitled to receive
what
prior
has
notification when
happened
medical
to
services are being
Washington?
offered to their child, except where emergency medical treatment is required. I mean, this is just all
The
absolutely
the
insane.
only way that you can make sense of this is if those people believe that the kids do not belong to the parents.
Yeah, that
Kids
is,
belong to
Yeah.
the state, and they will make the decisions for the parents.
that's what they're getting
That's-
at. I
yeah,
mean, this
it's
is
the
like
only way that you can
yeah, I
make
mean, it's
any.
like a communist.
Yeah,
It's like
any
communism,
sense. Yeah.
essentially. I mean, again, I would move out of that state. I wouldn't be there. I would not have a business there.
I did move out of that
Hey,
state.
You did. You did a smart decision. I mean, that is wild. I mean, we're living in 2 separate realities. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, to me, that's like, you try to do that shit to my kid, I'll fucking kill you. That's how I feel, you know? You try to you have somebody at school sexually abuse my child and you think you try to hide it from me?
Oh my god!
I will fucking kill you. That's what I'll do.
How does the
you
kid
know?
not immediately tell the parent what happened?
Kids are kids. I mean, they tell
yeah,
kids.
It's weird. Kids.
You know,
are,
kids are they don't you tell anybody what happened. This is a secret. You know, kids
you're
are
gonna get in
impressionable,
trouble.
right? It's the same reason we don't want these children, all these young adults who have been literally castrated at the age of 12 and sexually, mutilated by these doctors, are having regrets. They're coming out and saying, "Oh my God, I regret this. I was 12 years old. I
Yeah,
can't think."
what are you guys
That's
letting
why
me
we
do
don't
at
let kids
12 years
have
old?
guns. We don't let kids, drive, drink, do all these different things, get tattoos.
Have you seen some of those interviews they give though? That's heartbreaking.
It is very sad.
No,
You know,
I haven't
it's
seen
very
any of
sad.
those interviews. Oh, that's
You know?
gonna be terrible.
Yeah.
And again, there are certain transgender individuals. I can't. There's one of them that
I mean, if you're adults like Blair White, she's a
Dude,
good
there's
example.
even
yeah,
decisions as
Blair
an
White's a
adult
good- yeah,
where
you
you
make
look
those decisions
back
as an adult, and if you can live with yourself and you realize, I mean, one of them is like, yes, I understand this is gender dysphoria, but I'm happy being my transgender self. all means, live your life, do your thing. If you're like, I have ADHD and I still function. It's some mental shit that's going on. Like we all have our. Kyle's fucking severely autistic.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I've got the good balance of meds finally, so I'm able to fake it pretty well. We've got 30 minutes left, man.
Yeah, we don't say that's normal because it's not. It's a fucking mental condition, and we accept that, right? That's reality, right? That's reality.
Accepting reality.
So
Kyle, there's an app for that. You see, I can tell when your curve's about to drop off. He's about to be maniacal.
But
oh no, I'm gonna go count the tiles and make sure they're on the right orientation. They're not, which bothers me.
So here we go. This is another one I love. So Trump's pull this one up, Paul. So Trump has been basically trying to pull the plug on all this crazy spending the U.S. taxpayers are on the hook for, funding all these different so-called independent media organizations in all these different countries. The U.S. radical left has been using U.S. taxpayer money to fund radical left political parties and media around the world.
This is why we don't trust media.
One of the largest Hungarian opposition media outlets is upset by Trump's executive order halting U.S. foreign aid for 90 days, as Hungary's independent press stands to lose millions of forints in funding. Makes you wonder how independent one can be when relying on another country's money. Open that one up. Open that up. That's too
I think
funny.
a
They
judge
just
put
open
in
their own kimono.
Oh,
Right
that
there.
is just crazy. I mean, that just absurd. Just a bunch of nonsense.
I think a judge just put an injunction on some
there
of
it
these
is.
stops.
That's a good one. He might have. Yeah, go down a little bit. The Kenyan president.
I was
I had
to
tagged this one too. So the former president of Kenya mocks countries who are upset that Trump said he won't give blank checks to any more to foreign governments. Why are you crying? Yeah. It's not your government. He has no reason to give you anything. You don't pay taxes in America. I love this guy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love that.
We should cut him a check.
Send him some
We'll cut him a
stats.
check. We'll cut him a check for common
You know what?
sense.
I'm
okay with
his
that.
next election, I'm gonna vote for him.
I'll send him a donation if it's legal.
I mean,
I don't think you can interfere in foreign elections or something. I don't know, but
That's never stopped us before.
that is true. Good. Touche. All right. I love this one. 2025 is wild. Republicans are fighting for a Kennedy Democrat. Democrats are fighting to stop him. Republicans want clean food and safe vaccines. Democrats are fighting to stop them. What the hell happened to the parties? Yeah, I think we've seen such a radical move of the Overton window to this total, nonsensical, far left woke nonsense. And I think a lot of these people on the left have not even realized what's happening, that many of the people who were center left, people like Elon, people like Tulsi Gabbard, people like RFK Jr., right, have turned around and say, whoa, we're censoring free speech now? We're, taking away medical autonomy from people over their bodies? Like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah, I mean, I think the Overton window has moved so radically that all of these center-left people who have reasonable positions that, even if you don't fully agree with it, you can understand it, have now become part of the new Republican Party. It's this broad coalition of let's come back to reality here.
Well, one of the guys on X, his handle name's like Homath, and he's talking about how the two parties are right now, and basically it's all the Republicans and the Democrats, but the Democrats, most of the ones that are still actual sane liberals are seeing what's happening, and it's all just funneling into the Republicans.
Yeah.
Because they're just going crazy and they just keep going further.
Yeah.
And so everyone's lining up under Republicans now.
What do you think, Jack?
Oh, they made their bed.
Yeah, they made their bed. They got to lie in it. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see what we got
It's
here.
going to play out good, though.
I think so too. I think nature is healing. I think everything is healing, starting to heal. People are starting to wake up, and we're starting to come back to reality and common sense here.
I want to be cautious about an overcorrection because you can go too far the other direction. I'm all for what's going on right now. I have no problem.
Well, you're
but
right.
it'll always, like I said, nature will come back and
Well, let's see.
find the correct way.
Well, and as by the way, back to that the conversation of the media, right, and shifting to the flippening as they described it, right. There's a risk of that as well, that we go so far out into that realm of what
Conspiracy theories and stuff.
independent.
The problem is all the
independent
conspiracy
souls, right?
theories have
Right
turned out
now,
to be true.
Well,
It's
I
like-
know the track record is impeccable over there.
What was a conspiracy theory a
But-
year ago is now
so is
accepted
it-
as reality,
Yeah,
right?
Jesus.
So do we look at it as like a pendulum? So we take it, we take that ride. We're gonna go far out. We're gonna shun the establishment bit.
Mm-hmm.
Go out and see whatever happens with.
We're just gonna have to
And
take
then at
it
some
as
point, it's like,
we're just have to take it as it comes. I was telling a coworker
Crazy.
one time, like when the whole Jeffrey Epstein stuff exploded, and I was like, man, it's gotten to the point where these conspiracy theories, I'm not gonna believe him, but I'm gonna listen because if he's telling me there's lizard people and then he puts a body on my desk, what am I gonna do with that? Like, okay, I guess there's lizard people now.
Yeah. I mean, this whole thing, the term conspiracy theory, like came from the intelligence agencies when they tried to discredit a narrative, right?
So it was like a psyop.
But now it's like a
right.
psyop. Well, you can see how all these things are being labeled conspiracy theories. This is actually coming from these intelligence agencies that are literally working hand in hand with the different media agencies. So it's got intelligence agencies' fingerprints on all these things. This is conspiracy. This is conspiracy. It's because the intelligence agencies are basically going to these news and saying, "Here, we're leaking you this. Here's this thing. Here's the narrative we want you to push. Here's what we want you to say." Right?
It's actually becoming I feel like a badge of honor now if you get called a conspiracy theorist because it means like, oh, they're calling me a conspiracy theory. Give it 6 months.
Right.
Give it 6 months.
So given those same forces at play, right? Because they're not going to relent in any way. So we can assume and count on the fact that they will essentially infiltrate independent media as well. Give it a few years, give it a whatnot, because they'll just
the whole idea
be
it'll
inside
depend-
the same
different
game. It'll be
people.
the same game playing the other direction.
They don't necessarily have to infiltrate because they don't have to corrupt somebody. They just have to push somebody else to the front, which they could do with
All right.
YouTube stuff.
Okay,
Like if
yeah,
somebody's
right.
saying what they want,
They've been doing
they just
that, I
push
mean.
it. Bump them up.
Using them,
They
channels,
suppress,
the
but, I
whatever
mean,
the
but still,
influence.
the thing is, YouTube isn't everything. Now we've got Rumble. There's Odyssey. There's other platforms that are growing. There's Spotify now. I think Joe Rogan made a deal with them, and he didn't want to be censored, and he signed the contract with them and said, "Look, you're not going to take my shit down."
Oh, I
right?
love that.
So there's these people like Rogan. They have more power now. They can say, "No, we're not going to do this. We have the reach. We have the money. We have the sponsors. Like you want me to be on your platform here." We're going to rewrite the rules, right? Which is powerful,
do it
right?
our way
So
now, not
exactly,
your way.
exactly, and really shame on YouTube for what they've done the past 4 to 10 years. It's been just disgraceful, in my opinion. People
But it makes an opportunity for somebody
True,
that wants to challenge
true.
them.
That
I
is
mean, it's
right.
going to be
We're
hard
seeing
to win against the CIA money, but
Yeah,
True.
yeah.
small steps.
So let's dive into this one. President Trump just fired a bunch of USAID employees for conspiring to secretly send further foreign aid without approval. This administration is not playing games. We've identified several actions with USAID that appear designed to circumvent the president's executive order and the mandate from the American people. As a result, we have decided to put a number of USAID employees on administrative leave with full pay and benefits until further notice while we complete our analysis of these actions. Acting USAID Administrator Jason Gray. So, I mean, this whole idea of this overarching swamp of all these different agencies, all these different people.
That says it all right there.
Hey, there you
You're
go.
out.
Vintage Trump.
You're fired.
Get out of here.
You're fired.
You're fired.
I mean,
love that.
in hindsight, thank God he didn't win the 2020 election
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
because he's really seeing
reason.
what these people are like.
he
and
was,
Yeah, they
he's-
got
he
to
had
go
a
to the
chance to really,
extreme.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're coming in like a well-oiled machine this time, and
and they're dropping the hammer hard.
Yeah,
They're
I
throwing
love
out
it.
so many things
They've
they don't
done
know how to
everything
react.
to him. What
I
left,
love
what
it.
left they gonna do to him? You know what I mean?
I
So
was
he really
watching all
doesn't
these
care. There's nothing to
these
be afraid of.
government employees crying on TikTok. I got to go back to the office. I got to work. I can't just work from home 24/7 now. I mean, total absurd. I mean, these people. I mean, we're just living in two different realities, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I look at that video and it's just like I cringe by the level of
I'm curious how
incompetency.
many people are going to take Trump's deal for the 6 months or 8 month
I got
resignation.
I'm thinking maybe like 35%, 30%. I think that sounds like a decent number. I mean, that will save
Well,
taxpayers a lot of money.
With forcing them to come back into the office, and if they relocate the headquarters, because you lose like 20% whenever you relocate your headquarters. So those two things together, it'll probably take 50%
Yeah.
of the workforce out, and then you got to deal with all the contractors because that's an unseen headcount on the government.
Interesting. Here's an interesting one too. I tagged this clip because it was just I watched this. It was like a masterclass. This guy like totally disassembled. Can you pause this real quick, Paul? Will we be able to hear it when you play it, or will it just play? So
I can, if I play it, it's gonna play the audio. So
Okay.
if you want to hear it, or do you just want to recap it?
You can play the audio. Well, let's listen to it. I mean, this is just pretty remarkable.
I don't know if you can hear it.
Right now, the audio isn't feeding directly into the roadcaster. So
okay,
the
so-
listener is not hearing
so
it.
nobody
I
can hear
can
this, okay.
reroute that.
No,
Yeah,
that's
but
okay.
Go ahead and recap
I'll
it.
just recap it
Yeah,
real
just
quick.
recap.
But
Okay.
this was a great interview that they had on this segment where Stephen Miller is like, this guy's not playing any games. I mean, he just totally disassembled all the premise and the framing of Jake Tapper's arguments here. Just totally full of propaganda, pushing narratives. But basically, what's going on here is that Stephen Miller's basically saying like, hey, all these career federal service people that have been in these positions for 60 years and are on pensions and been working in the government and staying home 30 days out of the month and not going to the office, they're overwhelmingly seriously, like straight up, straight. I'm not even over exaggerating. And they basically said you can permanently work from home from now on or something crazy.
I should have gotten a federal job and then just gotten another job. No one would tell.
A lot of people are doing that. That's exactly what's happening. You're exactly right. They're stealing from the taxpayer, and at the same time, they're working other jobs. You hit the nail on the head. Overwhelmingly, the career federal service in this country is far left. Tapper says, I don't know that's true. He goes, at USAID, 98% of the people donated to Kamala Harris or other left-wing candidates. Tapper goes, you're demonizing an entire workforce. It's like, no, this is just the reality of the situation. I mean, when you look at like YouTube and you look at Google and like, where do all of the employees send their money? 98% of that money goes directly to Democrats. I mean, that is not an impartial organization. That is not a balanced organization. I mean, that is
How did those organizations get so skewed?
Because that's crazy when you're
Narrative.
you're in this little bubble. You're in this bubble of reality. You know what I mean? You're in this little bubble, and it's a bunch of yes men. And
Well, most of the
you have no other
headquarters
outside
over in like
narratives.
California and Washington,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, you're in a super liberal cities, right? And this microcosm of which is not reality reflective of the rest of the United States. And you just kind of get brainwashed. You're getting brainwashed essentially,
manipulated.
and then you're baking that brainwashing into your platform, into your algorithm. Censoring people, not
algorithms.
letting people have free speech. In the meantime, you've got the CIA and all these intelligence agencies. I don't know if it's specifically the CIA, but you've got these different intelligence agencies literally advising these people and essentially using the other big one now is NGOs, which is non-government organization, which is code for, hey, the government is not allowed to do this, so we're going to give you we're going to give you billions of taxpayer dollars to go do this on our behalf. Yeah, which is essentially violating the Constitution, which is exactly what's happening, and we're seeing that, right? So. That's what's happening here. That's with this mass censorship and a lot of stuff like that. So here Peter Sweden recaps this too. He says, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The mainstream media is not here to report the news.
Yep.
They're here to tell you what to think. They are far left propagandists. And literally that's what's happened and that's what it's become. And that's why trust in media is at an all-time low, mainstream media. Yeah.
It's a repeating theme.
Yeah, they're
here.
they're all reading. Have you ever seen the clip? They're all reading from a teleprompter. They have no individualized
Someone's going
thought.
up to him, telling him this is
Here's
what
the
you want you to
narrative.
say.
Yep, exactly.
If you don't
Well,
say
you-
this, you don't have a job.
You've seen that now, like infamous video where it's got all the news characters saying a threat to our democracy.
We've got that on our Cypherpunk'd. It's a part of our intro video
Yeah.
For our Cypherpunk podcast. So I did like a 1 or 2 minute intro, and part of it is just all the news media anchors and supposed journalists saying the exact same thing on every single channel across the whole United States.
I mean, if it wasn't for the fact that AI wasn't really invented or popular at that time, I would have thought it was fake video, but no.
Oh, this is one of my
talking points.
favorite Babylon Bee posts. Democrat senators oppose diversity for one day only. You've got
I love it.
oh, that's great. It's like,
Babylon slave.
Babylon Bee just crushes. No, you just can't even make this shit up. It's
No,
just
they
so
had one
funny.
like when Trump got elected, like Babylon Bee shutting down because we're fixing the world or something like that.
All right, let's see what we got here. Cash Patel.
They're brilliant.
Mr. Alex Jones recapping Cash Patel. The conspiracy theorist himself, Alex Jones, the real Alex Jones. Massive J6 bombshell. Cash Patel just told the world that Democrats, Pelosi, Schumer, and D.C. Mayor Bowser all refused 20,000 National Guard troops mobilized by Trump days before the Capitol riot. I mean, there's literally a video. They've found this video recently of Nancy Pelosi basically saying, "This is all my fault. This is all my fault." The day it was happening, and this came out years later after all the propaganda and bullshit that they
I was
tried to pull.
I was listening to a podcast or something where it was talking about how Nancy or Schumer, one of them, was telling another department to delay a report that would have given the ability for them to actually call in the National Guard for protection and whatnot. That they were trying to make it so that they couldn't get
Get a mess.
the support.
Well, no one's surprised, right?
No.
I mean, this is
not at all.
orchestrated theater.
Well, whatever happened to the pipe bomb guy?
Well, he's got a job in MIT now, right? teaching gender studies or whatever it is.
Let's see here. So
I got my reverb on really good. Thanks, Paul.
Let's pop this one up. This is my favorite.
Sorry, guys.
Nope, go back, Paul. You had a good one. There we
No,
go. Many federal civil service workers spend most of their workdays complaining about their jobs on Reddit. Interestingly, much of the activity violates federal law. So all these Fed people working for the government, sitting at home, not doing anything, they're all posting on Reddit all day, complaining about their jobs in the middle of when they're supposed to be working. I mean, that's classic.
Consensus
Were they working
Protocol
from
has
home?
A similar problem, right?
Yeah, we do.
Consensus Protocol. That one. They're supposed to be doing something.
Hold on,
Damn
let
it.
me check the post
All
real
right,
quick.
Here's a good one by Eric.
You got to put the tracker on them, like the LoJack, Maddie.
So a lot of people, this is a common thing, you know, this whole thing about meme coins and this, that, and the other,
go.
you know, good, bad, the negative. I personally don't care for that.
Bitcoin.
I think my personal take is that I've seen good use cases for certain meme coins, but by and large, I'm not a
Certain
huge
meme
fan.
coins?
I think it,
Certain.
Which
yeah,
ones?
so,
Which ones?
so for example, a guy had a daughter who had cancer and she couldn't afford treatment.
Okay.
So some total degenerates just made this meme coin of their daughter's name. And basically, they raised like millions of dollars for this guy so he could get
See, there's
his
always
daughter.
a good story.
So he could get his
Wow.
daughter this
There's
treatment.
always
Yeah.
a good story.
So
in
and
this.
That's
the guy was basically
fascinating.
like, "Oh, you know, this is really."
And then he rug pulled.
No,
and then the IRS
no,
knocked
the whole-
on their door.
The whole point of it was that hey, we're gonna
We're gonna
give you most of the supply of the coin,
yeah.
and we're gonna
Pump it.
do some degenerate gambling, and like your daughter's gonna get to pay for her cancer treatment. So like in my mind, that was really cool and pure. And people
That's an awesome way to.
it's an awesome way to like quickly raise
take
capital
that.
for somebody that like really needed it. And the
Yeah.
guy was like, "Look, I'm going to sell this so I can have." And he was like very transparent with them. He's like, "I'm selling this coin so I can fund this, and I'm going to sell others so I can fund this." So like to me, there's the silver lining there of like, hey, that's a cool use case. A lot of people don't know this about Dogecoin, but the reason it was founded was because people didn't want to like risk their Bitcoin initially to like mess around with crypto.
thought
They
it was
wanted to
'cause we
learn
like
with something that was
Dog-
fun.
Dogs.
No, dogs are awesome,
Oh.
right? So it stuck around. But the guy,
It was meant
It's
to be a
dags.
joke.
It
so
was
that
meant to
people-
be a
so
joke.
people could play with it.
so people
and
could
not
play
be
around
worried
with it
about
and not be worried that if I lose this, if I mess up this wallet, if I lose my private keys.
Yeah,
big
so
deal, 'cause
they
it's a
had
joke.
The supply is like 4 quintillion.
it was
or
something
like that. It's
crazy,
just something insane.
and it was a way for them to like learn about crypto without feeling like they were going to lose something like very valuable like Bitcoin, right? So that was the premise initially. The guy abandoned the project and said this was a joke and this was that, and the community basically said no, fuck you, we like this, we're going to keep this,
and
which was
everyone
really
liked it.
cool. So
and the
people-
original
I
founder
think
went and
Elon
started
Musk says
Shiba.
that's
he
what
likes-
I don't know if that's true or not, but
That's just made up.
no, I think he left crypto altogether. But at the end of the day, the community decided they wanted to keep that. But they did like the Dogecoin people in like the late 2010s, like the early like 2014, 2013, 2012, etc. They had people at conferences and people at events like showing people, hey, here's a Dogecoin. Well, I'm going to send you some 1,000 Dogecoins. You know what I mean? Like teaching people about crypto. So there was something genuinely and beneficial and cool behind that.
I think
but
Elon
Why didn't
said
they
he
just
likes
use the
dirt.
test net then?
I don't know. I'm not sure. The test nets. I don't know if there was really a test net for Bitcoin. I know for Ethereum had multiple test nets, but
Yeah.
I don't know if Bitcoin had a test net like
What's
that.
a test
Right?
net?
A test net is like where you have a test version of the blockchain and you simulate certain things you can do, like if you're going to
So
put
like
an upgrade to make sure it doesn't break the whole network.
Yeah,
So
before you
Ethereum-
actually like
okay.
deploy a
So
contract,
this
you
isn't
put out the
relevant
test
for
net.
Bitcoin.
It's like having
Bitcoin's-
a- it's like
Bitcoin
having
does-
a
Fake
stunt
coin
double.
for a fake coin.
Bitcoin is the essentially yeah. So Bitcoin is Bitcoin was
It's like a
always
stunt double.
Bitcoin was always intended to be this,
Yeah,
store
the
of
king
value,
gold,
sound money,
digital
kind of
gold.
like hard cap. It wasn't made to have all these changes, right? So there wasn't really a test net. The initial test net was Satoshi on the forums, kind of running beta upgrades with everybody, kind of saying, hey, this is the beta, we're launching it. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. But after he was done doing all the optimizations, it was done. It's largely been the same, and any upgrades have been an additional layer, an additional software or additional code on top that people can opt into or opt out of. They're not forced to use it. With Ethereum, they had plans to change the blockchain, change the issuance mechanisms, change scalability, change the consensus of the network mechanism from proof of work to proof of stake, right? So all this stuff you don't want to do on the main chain that's live with billions of dollars, being secured in different smart contracts. Like you don't want to just run that upgrade without testing it on
Occasionally, have
a test
nuclear
net. First.
meltdown.
There you go. So you do it on all this stuff you play around and do on a test net to simulate first, and then you have the main net. So that's what a test net is. Okay. But let's get back to this post real quick by Eric, where he says here about meme coins, right? So I went through the things that I said I like about meme coins and the potential use cases that I see as positive, but by and large I think they're a negative in my opinion for our industry personally, because the powerful uses of something like Bitcoin for billions of people on this planet that don't have access to a sound money, and the abilities and the uses of something like the Ethereum protocol, where people can have complicated or not even complicated, but simple smart contracts, financial contracts, savings, lending on a micro scale, I think is super powerful technology for the world. And it's why I'm here personally. This idea of self-sovereignty and having access to a money that nobody can take from you, property rights on the internet, etc. I think we lose some of that when all this money and attention gets focused on literal, shitcoin, meme coin gambling, right? So Eric is saying the reality of the situation here. I think everyone knows that meme coins are literal zero-sum gambling, like roulette, but with better odds, still negative EV. In this context, meme coins are great, a new kind of casino, and casinos are fun. For those who don't realize it's just gambling, those who have an investment thesis on Fartcoin, for example, will have a hard time in life, and that's nobody's responsibility but theirs. Meme coins aren't scams, they're casino games, and that's fine. And you know what? I agree completely with what he's saying here, right? But let's call a spade a spade. That's what it is. Let people make their own decision. Let people gamble if they want. It's a free society. So I think that's my take as well. But I do think it's a negative in a lot of ways. But that being said, people can be free to do what they want. So I thought that was a good explainer by Eric.
It reminds me of the, I saw not Reddit, I think it was a 4chan post back when the fidget spinners became a big thing. And he's just like, I just dumped $5,000 into it. No one's buying them anymore. Oh my God. I mean, he tried to make money off of it, but he just lost all
it's
of
a capitalist country. It's capitalism. It's freedom, right? Freedom to do what you want. So
I mean, if he had started 2 or 3 months earlier, he probably would have made bank.
Yeah. If I would have bought Fartcoin at whatever.
So how about we tokenize the new independent journalists that are about to head into the White House? Or
Hey,
just
if you
in
could
general?
figure it out, I'm sure you'd make money.
Oh.
Well, wouldn't the market dictate then who's got the validity if they were somehow tokenized?
All right, but what does it
but
mean
what
to
do you mean?
tokenize
What do
them?
you mean by tokenized?
I don't really-
What are you tokenizing?
I'm not pretending I know what that means. It's just a word I heard on the interweb.
Like,
Okay, boomer.
Okay, boomer. All right, let's go on to Caitlin Long here. I love Caitlin Long. She has so many great takes and information. Connecting dots. Conservatives debanked. Banks say they just followed rules. Trump cut out the 3 banking agencies, FDIC, Fed, OCC, from his new digital asset working group. Congress is already investigating the debanking of crypto, Operation Choke Point 2.0. Last week, I learned that it is expanding. This is all connected. The Overton window for major reform of the federal banking agencies is wide open. And I think this touches on what we talked about earlier, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think Caitlin's been all over this for years. She's been on top of this. She did a fantastic job with all of that. All right, let's move along here to Snowden. The Senate Intel Committee spent nearly the entirety of its session today furiously demanding that DNI nominee Gabbard condemn me personally, a position now opposed by something like 94% of Americans. Courts have been ruling for 10 years that NSA broke the law, guys. Move on. Yeah, so again, in my opinion, Edward Snowden is an American hero. He exposed to us that our government was secretly spying on us and violating the Fourth Amendment. And the media agencies and the mainstream media and the intelligence agencies spun the propaganda narrative in the web to make it look like he was the bad guy when he was literally letting the people know what was actually happening, right?
It was
So-
the
Speaking out
Assange
truth.
treatment.
So I think he should absolutely be pardoned by Trump. I hope he sees this. I hope he does pardon him. I do agree. I think Thomas Massey's Twitter poll is probably not a complete reflection of of Snowden's support in America because
Wait,
it's
what's
a
the
lot
argument
of
not
bias
to?
there. The argument
Yeah.
not to is that he
There's a
essentially
national-
exposed U.S. secrets
Yeah.
and went public with
national
Yeah,
threat.
but-
national security.
Except for the U.S. was breaking the law.
of course, right? And again, this is like a
Yeah,
famous.
when
I
they're
think
the
this
big
is from
dogs.
like
You're not
Ayn-
supposed to look behind the curtain.
there's
Yeah.
there's another Ayn Rand quote about this, right? When the criminals are when the people who are exposing the criminals are being
Yes.
prosecuted as the criminals, you've got a broken society.
Yeah.
It's something along those lines. I always have her quotes in my head, but I can never
Well, we'll make
quite
it
get the
a Matty Ice quote.
get the
at this
right
point,
quote,
yeah,
right?
until
So
I am
now here
forgive
goes
you.
Paul. He's gonna go on. He's gonna try to find the quote. I know he is.
Yeah,
He will.
let's
He
clear this one up.
So it's basically the Julian Assange treatment, right?
Don't use the
Same kind of thing.
Even
Chinese
worse,
AI
though.
model. It won't
Ish?
allow you to
Ish.
find an
Yeah.
answer.
It was even
Go to
worse though
Grok.
because
Am I softening
with,
it too much?
with Julian Assange, I think there was some he did release some compromising names for people that were in operations
Yeah,
or
he
something like that.
completely-
Oh.
Where Snowden was just pretty much entirely in the clear,
Or
saying, "Hey,
pure.
the NSA is doing
Yeah, I
this." and
stumbled
breaking
across
Okay,
this.
thank you. Right.
Pretty sure.
So-
Yeah.
All
I mean, I think Assange should be pardoned as well. But
I think so too. I think he was. They
Really?
commuted him or something. They did
no,
something.
Ross Ulbricht was, or they got Julian.
Oh,
Assange is already
Speaking
back
of
in
Ross,
Australia.
right?
Assange went. They released Assange from prison.
Yes.
He went to Australia.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't
a couple
know.
of months ago, right?
Yeah, they were gonna like kill that guy. He was like, getting,
Oh,
he was looked like shit. I mean, dude.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah,
even if
they
you
put him in
think,
solitary pretty much.
yeah,
for
I mean,
3
even if you
years.
think what he did was wrong, I mean, come on. The guy had served his time. They had him like locked away in this little Honduran embassy or Nicaraguan embassy. It was terrible.
Ecuador.
In a hole.
Ecuador. There you go.
It was a hole.
And then the British grabbed them, and it's just the whole thing is a nightmare. So
Wow. All right.
Oh, let's
Well,
see.
Ross is free, right?
Let's see
Ross is
here.
Amen.
I don't know if we could find the quote. I think it was an Ayn Rand quote, but I could be wrong. Don't worry about that quote, Paul. It's not important. Let's move on to the next take
Letting
here.
it go.
Well,
Let's let it go. What do we got here? We
So-
saw that one. We already read that one.
so how do we keep from the next generation of the people that said the wrong thing or exposed the wrong thing from
Oh, you're
somehow
gonna
being
pull up-
incarcerated?
What are you saying?
Well, so what's before us, right? We just witnessed this round of whether it's been Ross or Julian, or how do we help defend that next round? Because I feel like it's just going to recycle itself. There's going to be that next group of
Take
that
corruption
said,
out of,
well,
you know,
you said too much, you exposed the wrong people.
when you have
you
I mean,
corrupt and
I
bad
don't think
people
we
that
ever-
are leading.
Can we ever
We need-
undo it?
We need to
I
follow the
don't think we'll have-
Constitution. The problem is when you violate the Constitution and you get called out for violating the Constitution, like what the NSA was doing in a lot of these
I agree.
intelligence agencies. Where's the consequence for that? Where's the you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These people operate outside of the law. They think the ends justify the means.
Right.
That's the thought process of,
Yeah,
of what's
there does-
happening.
there
They think
needs-
we're doing this to keep you safe.
There
Right.
needs to be some justice
Yeah.
against these people. Like, okay,
There should,
they
right?
broke the law. Something needs to happen. They need to be brought to justice for one, because you need to make sure that no one else is tempted to do this in the future, because there's consequences.
Yeah.
If they break the law and there's no consequences.
Well, I think that's why they don't want to confirm Tulsi Gabbard and they don't want Kash Patel. They don't want these people. They just
They're
want
afraid they're
these
gonna-
people want absolute power
The
and they
necess-
want carte blanche to do whatever the hell they want. They think the ends justify means. That's the
Yeah, it's
logic, right?
crazy.
So hey, we can kill 20 people, 50 people because we're going to save 200 people, and we think that based on this, we're going to lie to millions of the masses, and we're going to pressure social media companies to stop people from having free speech because we think we
doesn't
know.
work, though.
We think we're smarter than everybody else, and
Well,
we think
yeah,
we can
the-
tell everybody what to do
they
because we're your
they only
daddy.
see us as numbers. They don't see us as people. So like, oh, we know better than these people. We know how to do this
Yeah,
stuff. And
yeah.
So maybe the new wave of independent journalists perhaps can help defend the things that were fundamental to
Hopefully.
to our foundation in the first place.
also make it so you can't shut them down. Like Snowden had to flee, but he still got the message out. And with all
Yes,
the decentralized
right.
media,
At pretty big cost to his personal life, right?
yeah, wasn't he married?
Paul, can you go back to the other take you had up? Let's pull that one up. The one that was previously just up there. I thought it was a good one.
Just
Here it is,
riff-
right there. Leave this one
Just
up.
riffing.
Here it is. Representative Jim McGovern. Let's call this what it is: a ransom payment, pay to play, corruption. Nixon would be proud. So this was his little take on this little Axios, which is another Sam Altman funded far left media channel. Meta to pay Trump $25 million settlement for shutting his accounts after January 6th. And
What?
here he's saying,
I didn't know that.
yeah, $25 million is like absolutely nothing. I mean, imagine,
No, it's the principle.
imagine
my
censoring,
God.
imagine censoring the sitting president of the United States and acting in a
that's
coordinated
crazy.
fashion with all the other platforms to censor the sitting president of the country. I mean, that is absolutely insane. So my take on this was, no, the corruption was banning the sitting fucking president off social media and engaging in massive censorship at the behest of corrupt intelligence agencies, trying to control free speech on the internet and violate America's First Amendment rights. But nice try. So that is my take. Does anybody else have any other takes?
I think that's
I
awesome that
concur.
Trump got them to pay him.
Oh my God.
Oh, I mean, he could have made him pay way more
Oh,
than
yeah.
$25 million. I mean, that's like nothing. I mean,
No, but it's the
well,
principle.
I think
pittance.
Zuckerberg
Whipped it out.
Zuckerberg donated $400 million plus to to do that whole little thing in the previous cycle where they registered all these, probably committed tons of electoral fraud. I think probably
how did
with all these fake votes and ballot stuff. And they caught a bunch of them this time around. They didn't let him get away with it. I think on the last day in Pennsylvania, they caught
quote right there.
they caught a bunch of
corruption was the banning the
yeah, here's Mike Pence. What do you call Zuck's $400 million to Democrats then? Super duper ransom payment. Nice take,
super
Mike.
duper ransom?
Super duper ransom payment. All right,
Suck.
let's take us to another take.
Oh, Bernie.
I don't have any thoughts on this one because I didn't add this one here. I think
Bernie
Paul just-
really said that?
I think Paul just pulled it.
Bernie, he just tweeted this today, and it just somewhat backfired in his face.
Really?
It's like these people don't remember we have the internet. We can check these things.
Yeah.
Bernie's too
So the hostility route. Okay, I think this clip was when he had an exchange with RFK Jr. at the hearing yesterday. So let's
Yeah,
see
the
here.
commencement hearing.
The hostility Robert Kennedy Jr. experienced at his hearing was directly proportional to how much pharma money each senator received. In fact, each of them simply repeated the same attacks we just saw flood the mass media, all of which were blatant lies. So
I've only
yeah, you
seen
can
like a
look and
couple
see
snippets of it, but RFK looked like he did a master job of defending
he
himself.
did a
in
pretty
that
damn
one.
good job. Yeah, I thought so too. So I think Bernie Sanders tried to come at him and he just shut him down. I think he rightly called him out that he took all this money. But I think
No,
what
he shut
Bernie,
Bernie down
so I
hard.
guess what he's saying here, what he just posted was that, where was
Yeah,
where
I
was
think
this
this is
other
what he's
clip you
posting
just pulled up, Paul? I don't know when you found the middle of this thing. No, I don't know where you did with it. It's basically saying he took zero money from the corporation, but I guess my reading of that was I think it's the very.
Oh, he
last.
said he only got his donations
There
from.
it
There it
From,
is. Yeah, zero
working
donations from pharma CEOs, zero donations. So he's basically saying like 8 million people from
can't be
working
bought.
people giving $27 at a time.
Yeah,
I said,
exactly what the captain said.
yeah, from the
So
CEOs.
he's
but-
factual, but he's not truthful. He didn't get
Yeah.
it from the CEOs. He
framing.
got it from the company. The
Yeah,
framing.
I don't know what he's saying. I mean, he's full of shit. But yeah,
Yeah.
8 million people are really giving you $27 at a time. Sure. Is this another Act Blue scam where they where the same person sends $27 50,000 times, and the lady's like 90 years old and she has no clue what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Or this is just like money laundering, which is essentially what's been happening with Act Blue. Yeah, nice try.
I wonder if I can check how much I've donated to a politician because
you-
it should be zero.
Yeah, it should be zero, right?
You can check that.
So there was a good one right there. That Tulsi
Allegedly. I wonder
Gabbard.
if I
Tulsi
can.
Gabbard absolutely crushed her first intro into her hearing. So when are we going to find out where these people get approved or what the deal is? And
I think JFK did get approved.
well,
I
that
didn't see
should be.
anything.
Oh, did he?
I think.
Let's find
don't,
out.
Don't
Nice.
quote me.
Okay.
I think
I will
Tulsi's-
quote you. I'm
No,
gonna
I said
write on
not
that
to.
news.
Yeah, I don't.
Started-
I'll
I
trade
think,
on that news.
I think there
Kyle.
would be more There would be more announced. If that
Yeah,
was
I
the
think I would have
case.
seen it.
Couldn't be more proud. Megan McCain. What?
It says right now, it's looking as of now, this is from 4
Yeah.
hours ago, only Senator McConnell is voting against Robert F. Kennedy, which means Kennedy will be confirmed. He's the worst. It is also looking like Tulsi Gabbard will only lose 2 Republican votes, securing her nomination as well. Wow, what a good day for
What
America.
about Kash Patel? Has he been
And
confirmed?
according to Senator
Yeah.
Ted Cruz, Kash Patel has. Can you go to show more on that take? And according to Senator Ted Cruz, Kash Patel has the numbers to be confirmed as the next director of the FBI. Well, this is all fantastic news. 3 fantastic people, and they all deserve their roles greatly.
About to kick some
So,
ass.
Yeah, I'm glad they
Should've
couldn't
worn
stop
my
it.
Bobby shirt.
Bobby, you should have worn your
Bobby.
Bobby
That
shirt
seems
today.
all right.
Bobby shirt.
I
I wore it the day
got
of
that.
the hearing.
I told you how I got that shirt, right?
I forget.
Which one?
So, well, I gave
That
him a
shirt?
Bobby Kennedy shirt.
No,
No,
not
because
this one.
Bobby Kennedy spoke at the RFK Jr.
Oh,
spoke at
yeah,
the
that's
Bitcoin
right.
conference. So, when we were there in Nashville, he was still running for president. So they had this cool it was like a RFK Jr. Kennedy like van truck that would go around and it would play like the Kennedy song, which was like a famous song that.
Never heard it.
Yeah,
I gotta look it up. Yeah,
YMCA.
No, it was something. It's a really catchy little jingle. It's a really cool little song, and they would throw the shirts out. If you went up to them and was like, "Yo, what's up?" They would open the little thing and they would throw a shirt at you. So,
So
It was a
so
shirt.
me, I think it was like
T-shirt
me,
cannon.
me and JMD and Paul. I think we went up and we saw the thing and they threw a shirt.
Shirts.
So I gave you that shirt.
Nice.
Don't ever question my love for you.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right, what else we got?
So there's a lot of pearl clutching happening right now.
Pearl clutching. I've never heard that one.
Pearl
What?
clutching.
Oh, no, yeah.
Across the
Clutching the pearls.
the
yeah.
beltway, apparently.
What you
Who else
what
do
you
we
got
have?
here, Paul?
Who else do we have on the lineup for getting confirmed?
I'm not sure right now, but hopefully we get these 3 through.
Yeah.
Paul, what do you got?
that guy.
You got any takes up top there? I saw some takes on the top still left.
Well,
So we have gone through the rotation,
Really? I
But-
feel like I had a lot more takes than this, but
but
We kinda
we
smashed
can.
it.
oh, here we go.
kinda-
Leave that. That's a good one. Go back. Starlink. So here's a good one. So there are 54 million in awards
Oh,
dedicated
yeah.
to providing broadband services for the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. Per Wikipedia, 16,906 American Indians live there. That's 3,216 per capita to enable access to broadband. To contextualize, this is one of the poorest reservations in the nation with a per capita income of only $8,768. So they're basically just calling out more grift and waste, right? So Starlink, go up. So Elon basically says, go to the back. So Elon basically is saying, like, Starlink can do it for approximately 10 times less. So basically what he's saying is that instead of wasting $3,200 per person to enable this internet, he can do it for like $300 a head. So that's
There you
like,
go.
I mean, insane.
Would that be
savings
through
to American
Starlink? You would
taxpayers.
do that?
These people that are
his company.
these people
Yeah.
that honestly, this should be a crime. That if you waste that amount of money to do a job that could be done literally for 90% cheaper, like you should literally be charged,
Be held
with a freaking
responsible.
crime.
The reason
You should
part
owe
of
the
there is-
taxpayers. I mean,
part of the reason why it costs them so much is because
So much
usually they
fraud.
always have to do all these studies to actually get
insane.
government approval to
I
actually
got
do
to
the
study.
job.
The satellites are in the atmosphere. We're gonna send you a couple thousand little Starlink things, and you're just gonna put them in your little teepee. Or
Well,
your
no,
house,
I'm
whatever
gonna
you're
need a
doing.
light
Little
pollution.
teepee, man.
I'm
Well,
gonna
they're
need a
on a
light
And there's
pollution
Indian
study.
reservation. I mean, it's
Jesus
an,
Christ, man. I don't think they're living in fucking teepees.
they're in Indian reservation. I don't know what they're living on.
They live in a casino.
I don't know. Even easier. They can share. They can put 10 Starlinks on top of the casino.
That was wrong.
They
I
gotta
take that
hire
back.
per capita.
I don't know.
I'm
I mean,
sorry I
you know,
said that.
But they could easily put it on whatever living structure they're living in.
Ask what was Elizabeth Warren? She
Elizabeth.
was-
You know what? I'm
Doesn't
surprised
she-
Elizabeth Warren's not all over this. Isn't she the chief of the tribe?
Damn.
The
Let
grift,
it go.
The grift never ends. The grift never ends.
Oh man.
Oh man. What else?
What else we got here?
Oh man. British Hollow.
British Hodl.
You'll be a slave. I love that.
We already are slaves.
When
Breaking that-
Bitcoin is
fiat money.
13 million,
Yeah.
0.1 Bitcoin is 1.3 million. At an annual 10% yield, that's $130,000 income. 1.3 million is too little now. Imagine the world at 13 million per Bitcoin. Get to 1 Bitcoin right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well,
These, what do you say? These weak, pathetic 0.1 Bitcoin maxis are lying to you about how free you'll be without enough coin. You'll be a slave. Oh, that's funny from British Hodl. All right. All right, guys. Well, it's been one hell of an episode.
he's good.
What else you
Wait,
got?
what's
Anybody
the
else have any-
Lagarde beam right there?
Oh, here she
Can we
is.
get a predictable money
Money supply.
supply?
The new currency design makes it more valuable, right?
He's in the punch.
This is CJ. He's a good one. Click on what he said.
That's our boy CJ.
Oh, CJ is good. The new currency design makes it more valuable, right? Right. This after she comes out and says European Central Bank will not look into Bitcoin or consider hodling it. Only difference between inflation and hyperinflation is trust. Man, the powers that be are doing everything they can to abuse the very little trust they have remaining. We're entering into a time where the foundations of finance are changing, and TradFi is in complete denial. Protect purchasing power of Bitcoin. A meme of her. Can we get a predictable money supply and no inflation? Lagarde, best I can do is new banknote design for birds and Oh, that's classic. All right. Well, on that, boys, it's a wrap.
Oh god.
Thanks for all being on the pod today.
Thank you, Matt. Yes.
Well done.